With the first story of today is yesterday there was a huge news coverage story, on Peter Strzok. He is, of course, a top intelligence expert at the FBI. He was fired either last year or earlier this year. I'm so confused by all the Russian news now. It's been 2-3 years of this stuff. But top intelligence expert at the FBI fired from the Mueller probe after it was revealed that Peter Strzok was texting FBI lawyer Lisa Page, apparently having an affair and cheating on his wife with her. And he had a bunch of anti-Trump texts saying, you know, we got to stop him, you know, Trump supporters smell. A lot of really weird and definitely biased stuff. It's so biased that even Wolf Blitzer of CNN says that, you know, they're pretty damning, or so damning, in the words of Wolf Blitzer. So even Wolf Blitzer of CNN is admitting these are some pretty damning texts. Yesterday he sat in front of Congress, I believe, and it was televised. So, you know, the timing on this 12 Russian thing is interesting. It's like, as soon as that happens, of course, you know, we got a big indictment that they probably could have made for weeks, but that's all good. I'm just here to report what's going on. So Rod Rosenstein broke the message today, and he said that 12 Russian military officials have been charged with conspiring to interfere. So according to Rod Rosenstein and, you know, elements of the FBI and the Mueller investigation, I'm not even sure who's doing what there anymore. Oh, I just wanted to note real quick before I move on that Peter Strzok, the same top intelligence expert at the FBI who was fired from the Mueller probe for, you know, revealing biased Trump texts, he also changed Comey's description from grossly negligent to extremely careless on the Hillary Clinton you know, investigation. And it sounds like a little change, but those words can change the law and how they react to it. So we know he's biased. We know he changed Comey's wordings. We know he was part of the Mueller probe and he's been fired. Just saying, that happened yesterday. That's a real news story that barely got any coverage. So Rosenstein today says 12 Russian military officials charged with conspiring to interfere. And they did that in multiple ways, according to Rosenstein. The first is with spear phishing, which might sound like an activity that you would partake in if you live near the coast, or maybe Alaskan ice fishing. But spear phishing is actually an internet term, also known as phishing, Phishing, like the hippie band, if we have any hippies here. But spear phishing is sending you an email saying, sign up, click here, you know, log in your info, and then you give somebody unknowingly the information. It's a very low level, it's not really a hacker thing. I mean, it is a hacker thing, but it's something that a 12-year-old or 13-year-old could do. It's not extremely complicated, and it's something. I had a phishing email last week, I'm just being honest. They said, hey, Anomaly, you're able to be monetized on Facebook. Do you want to log in? But, you know, unlike a multi-billion-dollar campaign that literally had $2-point-something billion, and, you know, the United States military, one of the largest defense systems in the world behind them, I didn't click on the email, but apparently they did, and that's fine. I guess that's a hack, according to this. And also monitored computers and planted malicious computer code files, according to Rosenstein today. He also said that with the files, they created fictitious online personas, such as DC Leaks and Guccifer 2.0, to release the info to press. So this is what Rosenstein said happened, but there's very important words, according to his own testimony, word for word, that I think a lot of the media isn't going to want to cover as much as I'm going to want to cover it. And he said directly, there's no allegation in this indictment that any American citizen committed a crime. There's no allegation that the conspiracy charged to vote changed the vote count or affected any election result. I'm going to read that again since I messed up. There's no allegation in this indictment that any American citizen committed a crime. There's no allegation that the conspiracy changed the vote count or affected any election result. So in the words of Rosenstein, this is not Anomaly, this is not Alex Jones, this is not Fox News, Sean Hannity, this is Rod Rosenstein. No American was charged, they have no suspicion of Americans purposely doing this, and there's no allegation that the conspiracy changed the vote count or affected any election result. So there's no Russian collusion, there's no outcome of election fraud or any sort of thing like that. That's according to Rod Rosenstein, and he also ended it up, there's much more than I'm saying. I mean, it was a very long press conference. Maybe not super long, but too long to read word for word. It would take me about 5-10 minutes. But I want to caution you, the people who speculate about federal investigations usually do not know all of the relevant facts. And I have to say, I think that is honest. Everybody wants to be an armchair coach quarterback, like myself, to be honest. But at least, I'm see-through with it, and I tell you the truth is, everybody doesn't know all of the information. So he's saying, just cautious, anybody questioning us, they don't know all the facts. Which, to be honest, in Rod Rosenstein's defense, that is true. People who analyze everything, they always act like they know it all. That's the difference with me. I tell you what I know, what I don't know. I let you decide for yourself. I let you question me. Other people say I own the truth, and if you question me, you're a neo-Nazi who needs to be destroyed. Very two different approaches, but everybody's entitled to their approach. So with all that being said, I do want to say spear phishing, like I said, first of all, it's a very low-level way to hack, and everybody should be aware of it. I'm just going to let you know now so you are not the victim of spear phishing like the DNC apparently was. If somebody sends you an email, you have to make sure it's actually them. Like Facebook, for instance, check the email. If they send you, hey, we want to log into your account and you're able for video monetization. First of all, check the link. I mean, don't click on the link, but check the email. If it doesn't come from directly facebook.com, it's a phishing scam. It's a spear phishing scam. They do it a lot, so it's always like a blah, blah, blah at Facebook notifications network.com. It's a weird like offshoot of Facebook. Any real Facebook employee is going to be at facebook.com, and that is impossible to reproduce. So if you're really getting an email, make sure you don't click on it, and 99% of the time it's fake, so don't click on it, just letting people know. And with the Rod Rosenstein, I guess it would be called indictments. There's a few things that are very, very interesting with it. I want to tell all sides, which most of the media is not going to tell. First of all, none of the officers were named. So who are these people? How much evidence is there? I think this is something that people on the right and the left are really going to want to know, whether it be the progressive left or the right. Who are these Russians? How much proof do you have that they did this? There's a lot of questions surrounding this, and for very good reason, because I do want to say, in August of 2017, this is once again, it hasn't been debunked by fact checkers. Maybe they think they've debunked it, but we've really got no information in the public. In August 2017, mainstream media article, the Veterans of Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, interesting name, Veterans of Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, sanity, get it, being sane, contended this narrative in August of 2017, saying the hack was internal. Who is the Veterans of Intelligence Professionals for Sanity? Pretty much exactly what their name says. They are veterans, ex-FBI and ex-CIA members who formed a coalition because they were sick of lies and deception, apparently, and they wanted to counter media arguments. So they're ex-CIA, ex-FBI people who did their own internal investigation, and they found, and with their evidence, they actually show evidence, and that's why in a sane society, in a society that really wants to learn the truth, whether you're a right-wing Republican or a left-wing Democrat, what you would do is have Rod Rosenstein, his team sit down, and the Veterans of Intelligence Professionals for Sanity sit down and have a debate and show off all their evidence and say, this is my evidence that the hack was internal. This is my evidence that the hack was Russian military officials. And then the public could be able to decide based on the evidence. Should be pretty clear which one is true or not. But that's what would happen in a sane society. That's sanity. We unfortunately have an insane society run by a bunch of egomaniacs who are more concerned with being right and filling their ego than actually getting to the bottom of any sort of thing. So the Veterans of Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, their evidence for that the DNC hack was internal was saying that it's not possible for the speed of the transaction of files to happen over the internet because there's no internet connection on the planet, according to Veterans of Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, that was able to transfer those files that quickly. So they said it had to be internally on a USB stick because that's the only way to transfer all of those files that the DNC said were hacked that quickly. So that's what Not Anomaly said. I didn't say it. Alex Jones didn't say it. Sean Hannity didn't say that. This is ex-FBI and ex-CIA members who say that the hack was internal. Also, Donald Trump and many other news sources say multiple times, because it is true, the DNC refused to hand over their server to the FBI. So there's a lot of very questioning things. There's left-leaning progressive news sources on YouTube who have questioned the Russian narrative. There are right-wing Republicans who have questioned the narrative. There are people who are lifelong liberals like Glenn Greenwald who question the narrative, and they use this type of stuff saying, well, if it was hacked, Why didn't you turn over your server? Why are ex-FBI and CIA members saying that? Where's your proof? And I think a lot of Americans, including myself, to be honest, we want to see the proof. If it really was Russian officials, multiple things are true. First of all, they used a phishing scam, maybe malicious software, according to him. That's according to his testimony. It was under the Obama administration and under the protection of the DNC, so they allowed a Russian interference. I also want to say as well, interference from other countries is not unusual. Unfortunately, there's multiple mainstream articles that say that China hacked our banking systems. You have reports that Obama literally gave our financial information over to Iran willingly. So foreign collusion, unfortunately, foreign collusion during elections is not as rare as they want to say. There's been multiple campaigns that have taken money not only from pharmaceutical industries, food industries like Monsanto, and military industrial complex industries, but there's many campaigns that have received funds through their foundations from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia and such. So this is not out of the normal, unfortunately, and we definitely want to be more secure. We don't want our elections to be interfered with. But to say that the information given today, sorry, I'm doing a live stream. Hold on 1 second. Someone's at the door.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Thank you. Yep. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I got a package. No harm. Actually, that's a light. So now for my my green screen stuff, it's going to be more well lit. I ordered a light on the internet, so I just got it during the live stream. Very interesting. At first, people were probably panicking, like, "Oh my God, they're coming for anomalies. Keeping it too real." All is well, though. Anyway, so yeah, people want to know the truth. One side says that the Russians interfered and hacked. Veterans of intelligence professionals say it's not. I would love to see them sit down and debate, but that probably won't happen. So we'll see where this goes. Very interesting timing, very interesting information, and definitely try not to get hacked by phishing emails, anybody. And, we definitely should try to be more secure, although at the internet it's very, very hard. I also want to say, before moving on to the next story, that this is just something that happened a year or two ago that was very interesting. 15 of the 19 hijackers of 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. This is not me saying this once again. This is not a conspiracy. This is mainstream news and basically, well received on both sides of the political debate as fact. 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian nationals. So a U.S. judge ruled that American families could sue Saudi Arabia, either the government or people from there, for 9/11, for damages and whatnot. And Congress vetoed an override of the U.S. judge decision, allowing it to happen. And this is a direct quote from Obama, or at least a quote from a mainstream media source that quoted Obama. If I'm lying, they lied, so, you got to throttle their videos. This is, I believe, BBC. Obama called this a grave mistake. So we know 9/11 was a huge, huge deal. Thousands of people died. It's one of the biggest attacks on American soil of all time as far as, modern history. And the courts allowed people to sue Saudi Arabia. We're not talking about a phishing email where you click the wrong link and somebody, had access to your emails. We're talking about people hijacking American planes and smashing them into towers, killing thousands of people. It just hurts my soul just to say that. But Obama called being able to sue Saudi Arabians, because 15 of the 19 hijackers come from there, that's what they found out, he called it a grave mistake. So it's a mistake, according to Obama, to sue Saudi Arabia for smashing planes into the towers, but suing and indicting, Russian officials for sending out what you say are phishing emails, although the proof has been very, very dim to this point. I mean, the comparison just seems a little bit hypocritical to me, but once again, it doesn't really matter what's going on. It doesn't really matter the truth. To a lot of people, there's a media narrative to be had, and this is a nice little thing that'll get people excited. Whether it's true or not, I'm not here to tell you it's not true. I'm not here to tell you it is true, but what I do know is when they report things like this, they have a huge media uptick. They're able to keep their narrative alive, and they're able to keep Trump haters clinging onto their seats, because Trump haters, they really want Trump to get indicted. They really want Trump to be impeached. So even though they've had no evidence, even though they've had no evidence of foreign collusion, they've had no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, there's been 2 years of very, very flaky indictments that have little or nothing to do with virtually anything as far as like really changing an outcome of the election or showing that Trump himself colluded with Russia. Like I said, foreign attacks on our country, unfortunately, are very, very common when it comes to digital and hacking. Happened multiple times by China on a bigger scale, and they barely reported it and made a deal out of it. But all that being said, there's no foreign collusion. There's been no evidence of foreign collusion, and even mainstream media officials have admitted that even if there was foreign collusion, which there's no proof of ever having it happen, it's not even an impeachable offense. It's happened. Other presidential candidates have literally taken money directly through sources, from foreign countries. Trump himself has a bunch of properties in foreign countries. This is not uncommon, unfortunately, for people to work with foreign countries directly or indirectly. It's actually extremely common in politics because people have notoriously taken money from virtually the highest bidder. Pharmacy companies, military industrial complex, Saudi Arabia, China, you got the money, they take the money. So even if they did find something, they themselves have even admitted, even though they haven't, that it's not even an impeachable offense. So this whole thing is basically a big scheme to get people to watch the news, to get people sucked in and have them following a plot like it's a Netflix 20-season series, and bring people away from the fact that the Democratic Party is collapsing. The liberals are collapsing all over the world. I'm just being honest. In Sweden, the right wing is poised to win an election for the first time since maybe 1914 or 1941. The Liberals in Canada have lost in Ontario for the first time in 20 years, and they lost so bad they lost official party status for the first time in 151 years. It's happening all over the world, but instead of trying to fix and focus on that, it's just a way to divert blame, unfortunately, and keep people under this mass illusion that it's not their fault. Anybody outside of their thought bubble is Russia. The walkaway campaign started by gay liberal hairdresser Brandon Strzok. The mainstream media has been reporting it as a Russia collusion conspiracy. Like, oh, everything that we don't understand is Russian. It's not. I don't say that everybody that understands me is like a Russian. I mean, people just disagree. People listen to different media sources. They have different leaders who tell them different things, true or false. So I don't think everyone who doesn't agree with me is colluding with a foreign country. That's ridiculous. But that's the world we live in. That's the narrative being pushed. And that's the news what happened today with Rosenstein and the 12 Russian hackers.